First of all, from Mina Kimes talking about why she has the Browns as the #1 rated defense, but she has some reservations. This clip is courtesy of Sports for CLE.
Mina Kimes from ESPN. This is from the Mina Kimes Show. What she sees as the strength of the Browns defense in 2024.
It was an interesting defense insofar as it wasn't that interesting. They played a lot of cover one and a lot of man coverage, and they rushed with 4, which tends to be a pretty good formula in the NFL if you have players who are good enough to do it. They got pantsed in the playoffs, which was my one hesitation for putting them here, because I think they were pantsed in large part because of the simplicity of their scheme. Which was, it was a really interesting season because them and Baltimore had like these two wildly different identities and kind of arrived in the same place, and both had success against the San Francisco 49ers. But I do think you saw in the playoff loss to Houston, which when that offense came out and they said, oh, okay, you're going to do exactly what you've done all season. Great. We're going to break all your rules. We're going to, use a lot of motion and man beaters and all this stuff. But part of the reason why I'm not terribly worried, John, by that one performance is that was year 1 with Jim Schwartz, who was a defensive coordinator. I have to think that year 2, they're going to be prepared for more offenses to take that sort of approach against them, and they'll have more success with it. And you really couldn't ask for a better talent pool to work with.
And, that was courtesy of Sports for CLE, and that was the Mina Kimes Show. And, I think she really hit the nail on the head right there. I think year 1 under Jim Schwartz, what they wanted to do was establish the fact that they wanted to play fast, and they went to the strength of what the Cleveland Browns do best. When you look at what they did the year prior under Joe Woods, they tried to mix in some cover 3. They tried to mix in some cover 4. And we saw them turning around looking at guys like, well, whose man is that? Whose guy is that? Why is he running free? They weren't passing guys off. Responsibilities were blown in the secondary, giving up big touchdowns. So when Jim Schwartz comes in, he says, listen, I got Denzel Ward. I got Greg Newsome. I got MJ Emerson. Let's go ahead and play with what they feel best comfortable at. Let's get down to the nitty gritty and play exactly what they do best. You know what they did? They just said, let's play man. Now, when you talk about what happened in the game against the Houston Texans, yeah, they used that against them. They used the fact that they're going to use a lot of motion. They would motion a man across the line of scrimmage, across the formation, identify who's in man coverage, and hit them on quick speed stuff out of the backfields, and now you have to rally to that stuff. I think year 2 under Jim Schwartz, what you're going to see is a lot more cover 3, and there'll be more disguises, more little wrinkles that they can throw at people that are going to be, just something to throw at them to make them have to cover that and make them have to, and game plan for that type of stuff and not just see all the man coverage. But I think they'll be tremendously better at what they do. They're going to continuously be good at what they did last year, which was let's rush 4. And we got Myles Garrett. We got some of the best pass rushers up front. Maurice Hurst is one of the great pass rushers that they got. Zadarius Smith is in the top 30 in terms of rushers as well. When we take a look at the deep dive into the defensive line, we'll go into the numbers specifically and show, according to PFF, just why those guys are so dominant. But first, let's take a look at an overall theme right here. Overall in PFF, they've rated the Cleveland Browns the 12th best team overall. And one of the biggest reasons that they're rated 12 overall, despite having questions about Deshaun Watson and some of the guys on the offensive side of the football, they're this high because of their defense. And it says the biggest strength in 2023 is the defense. There's a lot of there isn't a weak spot to be found across the defensive line. Along the defensive line, reigning defensive player of the year Myles Garrett leads the charge with 15 sacks and a 93.9 PFF grade. Lining up across from him is age listed area Smith, who, despite being 31 last year, still managed a PFF record at 80 to record an 83.1 PFF grade, 16th best amongst 112 qualifying edge defenders. Backing him up is JOK, who showed that he belongs in the discussion amongst the top linebackers in the league last year. 61 stops, resulting in 2 yards or fewer that didn't convert to first downs. Time for fourth at his position. Secondary is as deep as they come. featuring 3 cornerbacks who could be number 1 options on several teams: Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and Martin Emerson as well. You take a look at the Cleveland Browns, and obviously they are a team that, poses playmakers at each in an additional level. So when we take a look at the deep dive, one of the things we're going to look at right here, let's take a look at your starting lineup. This is the projected starting lineup if they were going to be going into nickel. And as you can see, this is courtesy of Pro Football Focus as well. You take a look at it at defensive end. Alex Wright, Zadarius Smith kicks down inside. Myles Garrett kicks down inside, and you got Obo Ankaranko as well as a defensive end or edge rusher. Right here, this is one of the elite pass rushing units. That's when this unit made Myles Garrett famous with the crossover technique at the 3 technique, getting his money off, right? Zadarius Smith is a guy that kicks down, plays well inside. So, and obviously, we talked about those corners: Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome in the slot, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill, and then you got Jordan Hicks and JOK in the middle. And by the way, Jordan Hicks is unsung. 74.6 grade. He's 22nd amongst 82 linebackers. That grade is surprisingly solid, right? So take a look at what they're going to bring to the table in the 4-3 base. Most of the guys are still going to be the same. The only thing you do right here is you bring in Dalvin Tomlinson, the nose tackle, and you bring in a guy like Shelby Harris, and then you also want to throw in Maurice Hurst will be rotating in at that defensive tackle. Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett are your ends. You got Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson at your corners, and then again you round that out with Thornhill and Grant Delpit. But I will tell you this: one of the sneaky things when we drill down on the secondary coming up later on the show is I'm going to show you Ronnie Hickman is a guy that I project to be a guy that could possibly take over the starting spot for Juan Thornhill. And I'm not just saying that as a hot take. When you take a look at his PFF grades and you look at his production and you look at Juan Thornhill being a guy that makes a bunch of money, and you take a look at Ronnie Hickman, who's being a guy that's an undrafted free agent who's made some plays for you, when you see his PFF grade, you're going to say, wow, this is a position where this turns into a camp battle. So those are what your base is going to look like in the nickel and the 4-3. Let's take a look at so when you're watching training camp, you're going to be taking a look at your depth charts. A lot of times, you don't mention some of these guys, but when you round out the depth chart and you get a chance to see first and front row, just the names here, you start to see that there's not very many roster spots available. One of the positions that you look at that's going to be up for grabs right now, Devin Bush is a guy at Sam linebacker who you see is penciled in to start right now. He's going to be in a battle with Tony Fields, who's a special team player as well. But from what you see, take a look at his depth. Alex Wright is another guy. Zadarius Smith is the other end on that side. But if Zadarius Smith gets banged up a little bit, I can see Alex Wright definitely starting a lot of games over at the end position. Quentin Jefferson is a nice little, prospect that they brought in, veteran from the Jets. Mike Hall Jr. is another guy, Ohio State Buckeye. Obo Ankaranko is there, obviously. He'll probably be the guy that's going to be rushing in the nickel. So you take a look at those 8 guys right there up front. Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Myles Garrett, Alex Wright, Quentin Jefferson, Mike Hall Jr., Obo Ankaranko. That is as solid as of 8 you can come with. Right. And we haven't even talked about Maurice Hurst, who's a guy that can be swapped in and out for Shelby Harris. So you right now got nine guys up front that can make some plays, JOK is there. Watch out for Nathaniel Watson getting some playing time as well. Muhammad Diabate, I think those guys would be special teams type guys. And then DeAnthony Bell, definitely a special teams guy. Shout out to him. Rodney McLeod, he'll play especially with that. But Ronnie Hickman, to me, is a guy that you should be watching. And obviously you got Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome rounding it up, right? So let's continue to go down. We got a lot of information to get to. Let's get to this. One of the reasons that they have the Browns defense rated so highly in PFF and why I have them as one of the best defensive teams in the league is because when you take position group by position group, the Cleveland Browns tout 3 position groups that are inside of the top 10, which is which is very good considering there's 32 teams. Let's take a look at the linebacker room, which the linebacker room, we don't talk about it enough. You got JOK and you got Jordan Hicks. And some people may be surprised to see that the PFF has the Cleveland Browns rated number 8 overall in terms of their linebacker play. It says, despite being undersized, JOK has excelled since entering the NFL, earning a PFF coverage grade above 70 in each of the past 2 seasons. The Browns added Jordan Hicks in free agency, and the 31-year-old recorded a 74.6 PFF grade in 2023, his highest since 2018 with the Philadelphia Eagles. As you take a look, Jacksonville comes in at number 7. Baltimore Ravens are coming in at number 6, the Giants at 5, and the New England Patriots at 4. I'm going to tell you right now, PFF has, in this category, they have the New York Jets, the number one ranked linebacker unit. CJ Mosley leads that unit, and I'm going to tell you what, they got the Jets high on defense in a lot of different places. Speaking of, let's get to secondary. They got the Buffalo Bills at number 3, Baltimore Ravens at 4, Dolphins at 5, and Cleveland Browns. Another top 10 finish, this time in the secondary. The Browns defense played lights out in 2023, and as the relentless pressure put on quarterbacks helped secondary that faced multiple injuries at the safety position. Denzel Ward has also battled injuries the past 2 years and transformed the unit into one of the best in the NFL when he has been on the field. Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson also make it difficult for opposing offenses. The Browns defense is different. We saw that in multiple instances when Denzel Ward is playing. When he is playing, the Browns have one of the best defensive backfields in the game, and we calling them, it ain't the no-fly zone, it's the restricted airspace. You know what it is, man. I'm coining that. Don't steal that. Guys be stealing my lingo around here. Let's continue to go, and let's get to defensive line. So, we recapping. We got number 8 in terms of linebacker in the league. They have us rated as the, in terms of the 6th best secondary in the league. Now let's look at the defensive line. Defensive line comes in at number 5, according to PFF. The Browns did the work to put help around Myles Garrett last offseason and will expect the group to cook again in 2024. Garrett rightfully won the Defensive Player of the Year with a better supporting cast, and the likes of Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Tomlinson were difference makers to a defensive line that did not nearly have enough juice before they arrived. Depth of this group is also solid. We talked about that when we looked at the depth chart, and the ceiling is even higher if some of the rotational young players like Mike Hall Jr. can make an impact. So when you take a look at this, as we watch and we get into specifically the Cleveland Browns, defensive fronts in the secondary, you can see as an overview, the Cleveland Browns are going to be one of the best units in the league. They're deep. They got multiple guys up front that can rotate with waves upon waves of guys. And to add to that, you got Jim Schwartz, who's going to be adding new wrinkles. You got new guys like Mike Hall Jr. that can come in and give you more pass rush ability. You've added to the speed at linebacker. Devin Bush can run. JOK, Jordan Hicks, is a guy that's going to be a veteran. That's a very solid guy. And when you look at it from trenches to the secondary, the Cleveland Browns will again be one of the best units, and in my opinion, will be the best unit if you throw in on a short list with the 49ers, the Jets, Ravens, teams like that. But the Cleveland Browns will be right back there in 2024. When we come